Paul says in 1 Corinthians 11:1, be imitators of me, just as I also am of Christ. In order to develop an effective ministry of discipleship, you first and foremost, pastor, you must be a disciple maker yourself. Everything starts and stops with the model that you set. In other words, what the pulpit does in moderation, the pew will do in excess, and that's good and bad. If the pulpit is lazy, the pew will be lazy. If the pulpit is on fire, the pew will be on fire. What the pulpit does in moderation, the pew will do in excess. So it's very important that if you're going to begin to talk about being a disciple-making church, pastor, you have to find 1, 2, 3 associate ministers that people see you trusting and pouring into. The people need to see it. They need to know, well, this is Pastor Joe, and then that's Pastor John and Pastor Micah and Pastor Allen, and Pastor is grooming them. He's pouring into them. He's training them, and they're responsible for evangelism, Christian ed, youth. The people need to know that these are the guys. You need to have guys that you are really spending time to. That you invite them to your house once a month, once every 2 months for dinner. That you're really shepherding them. Because one, as was said, if they're going to be pastors someday, they need to know what it looks like, both at church but also in the home life. So you want to model in all dynamics what it means. And the reason that we run into a lot of problems in our church is that a lot of pastors have never been discipled.
True.
Most pastors, I was born and raised in church. So I learned church. But many of us have never been discipled. So what does discipleship really look like? From Jesus' standpoint, Jesus took 12 men. Come, follow me. And what we do, part of our concept is simply this. Discipleship is about connecting people to God, to people. You want to connect people to God, to people. And from that, we begin to do life on life. What do I mean by life on life? Both in Matthew and John, we find, particularly in Matthew 4, we find that when John the Baptist makes a comment about Jesus to his disciples, he said, behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, they immediately turn from John and start following Jesus. Jesus sees them following. Andrew was one of them, and he says, what do you see? Where are you standing like? He said, come and see. Basically, what happens from there on out, we see that for the next 3.5 years, they will go where Jesus goes. They will eat when and where Jesus eats. They will sleep where Jesus sleeps. They're doing life on life. And in everything, every moment, everything Jesus says and does is intentional, it is deliberate. Because he knows that a time will come, they don't know yet, where they will have to recall how the master conducted himself. The Greek term for character really deals with speech. So they got to recall how, not only just what Jesus said, but also how he lived. And part of our modeling and replicating is the totality of the Christian experience. It's not just what happens in church on Sunday for an hour or two, but it's how people live Monday through Saturday. Right. And we leave that out of our thinking most of the time. You want to have a worldview and a total view of how you think about discipleship. You want to have a Christian worldview where you're living it out as a husband and as a wife, as a father, as a mother, as a pastor, as a deacon, as a layman, whatever capacity and ministry you serve, as a musician. You want to develop and hold and live out a Christian worldview. Discipleship enables that and makes that happen.